Welcome back to another episode of Speaking with Gravity, where we discuss mental health and how everything affects everything. I'm one of your hosts, Kervin, and joining me in this discussion on today is Joshua and D. And in a world where we can order food, find a date, access information with just a few taps of our smartphone, it's no wonder that this episode today about instant gratification has become a thriving force in our everyday lives. But does this phenomenon really mean for us? What does it mean for us as individuals and as a society? How does it affect our decision-making, our relationships, and our overall well-being?
That's a good one.
You know, I'm not sure if it bodes well for us as a society. So that's what we're here to discuss. I'll do the QD of the hour, which is quote of a data. Instant gratification creates addictive tendencies. The brain responds to short-term desires of satisfaction by releasing dopamine, a pleasure hormone that we create more and more of. And if we're not careful, we tend to just seek those instant gratifications time and time again. So what is it? What is instant gratification? It refers to the temptation and resulting tendency to forego a future benefit in order to obtain, it says here in the definition that I got, a less rewarding but more immediate benefit. Maybe some people will argue that it's less rewarding, but maybe it is. Maybe it is overall. But what would did y'all have anything to add to that definition of instant gratification? Kind of foregoing long-term, waiting it out, so to speak. That's what I think of, waiting it out. In everything, though, not just, even with this podcast, people want to like immediately. They get two or three episodes in, they want 1,000 followers. They want 10,000 people. And when we think about it from a relationship standpoint, when I see people talk about relationship goals and stuff like that, it's like the stuff that they're presenting is what happens to people after being together for 4 or 5, 10 years. Not like, you don't get that like just like that. Like, I meet this person today and now we're doing this stuff tomorrow. No, it took me and my wife some years to get there. But what are y'all thoughts on instant gratification?
I mean, for one, I think I think as people, we desire pleasure, right? We desire gratification. We desire, we desire pleasure and gratification. But I think we're living in a world too where it's about getting things quickly. We live in a world right now that's built on speed, right? How quickly can I have this? And so, getting pleasure is, I think, something that's normal, but it's when you attach that instant on the beginning of gratification, right? I gotta have it now, and I think it just speaks to the kind of culture that we're living in right now.
And I feel like in doing that, people are always taking shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
Shortcuts, like, when I mentioned it, going back to relationship goals and dating. Look, I'm not knocking nobody who is on apps. I'm not. But it amazes me. Like, I have so many thoughts when I'm thinking about that. When you're on an app, you just get to swipe right. I'm assuming it's right. Is it right?
I don't know. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
You get to look at you get to look at that person, read their profile, and just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
Instead of that quote unquote old fashioned way of, I ran into this person. Let me get their name. We just talked about, like, let me get their name. Let me remember their name. Let me find out the old fashioned way, where they from, what they want to be when they grow up. What kind of family they come from, instead of just reading this profile and being like, all right, click, let's do a date tomorrow. Like, building up the courage to ask that person out, as opposed to, all right, you swipe right, I swipe right, we both like each other, let's date tomorrow. Like, I don't miss it now, but I used to like that, getting to know somebody and wondering, is she going to say yes? to me asking her out of this date, or what I gotta what I gotta do to impress her. Like, where's that at now? Because the impression is the photo. Some photo that I took when I was hot at whatever event I was at. You know, you're not impressing nobody. Well, I ain't gonna say you're not impressing nobody, but you just lose out on that part. It's so much that we lose out on. Even with, I'm gonna let you speak. I know you about to speak.
Go ahead.
Even when I'm thinking about going to the way that we cut our hair now. So it used to be back in the day, I was telling my son this. It used to be back in the day, you go to the barbershop. Man, you in a barbershop 2, 3, 3.5 hours.
I don't miss it.
Now, you say you don't miss it,
I
right?
don't miss it.
But you say you don't miss it, but speaking to instant gratification, now you got all these apps, you can go straight in. You can go at your appointment time, you're in, you out. But what about that camaraderie that you built while you was there at the barbershop? The stories that you heard that you would not otherwise hear because you was waiting around for 3 hours. Or somebody talking about relationships, or somebody talking about life insurance, or somebody these things that we actually was learning about because we had to sit there for 2 hours waiting on our haircut. That instant gratification is taking away some of our processing, some of our learning, because it's boom, 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 boom. So I'm off my soapbox. I'm sorry.
You good.
You can go ahead and clown me now.
Man, I don't forget. I mean, definitely. Like I feel as though with the barbershop, I feel as though you miss out on a lot of things, but you know, I don't miss. I just don't miss waiting like that. Sure, I do miss the camaraderie and things like that, but that time is very important also. So I think even like with instant gratification, okay, what are you giving up? You know, so if you do find yourself, you know, making these decisions based on, hey, I want to be pleased right now, right away, you have to just be mindful of what you're giving up, right? Because in that case, I feel as though it's worth it to give up that camaraderie a little bit. That's just me. That's just me because what I'm getting back is my time, which is very important to me too.
What are you doing with that time though? What are you doing? And when I'm
tell you. So today I'm here because I was able to when I'm able to make my appointments, I can work that around work, you know, and all kind of things. I can go get a cut during the week.
Look, man, we've been working stuff around for years, right? So if we didn't have that, right, you would have got a haircut the day before, or you would have called your man's them and said, hey, I got this event. And if you've been going to that person regularly, say, hey, I got this event. Can you get me in at 8 in the morning? Or can you get me in at 7:30? I need to be your first person. You just got to get up. We can go around this stuff. We just act like we can't. And then going back to the process, I had a thought when you was talking about it, and it left me about, when I asked you, well, what are you doing with it? Mm-hmm. So we got additional time, right? Because we got instant gratification. But you know, we'll find ourselves, myself included. Me and Dita talked about writing a book, not necessarily together, but I got more time now. I ain't a bit most got no further than I needed to get to write this book. Because what am I doing? On TikTok, I find ways with that going back to instant gratification, I can get in and out wherever I want to go now. So now I have more time, but with that time, I'm going to another instant gratification of entertaining myself immediately in 30-second clips instead of watching a whole series. Mm-hmm. Like
you're getting really to the meat of the content.
Yeah. Have you ever seen The Wire? You got to go look at it. Have you seen The Wire?
I've seen clips.
Oh man, that's one of the most amazing series ever. And if y'all get a chance, you need to do. I think it's like 5 seasons. But me and my wife, I'm gonna shout her out again. We develop a relationship and go like we started dating like the 3rd season of The Wire, and every Sunday we would link up to watch The Wire, which I can't even remember whether it was 30 minutes or 40 minutes, but we would link up just to watch The Wire. That was something that we built together. If it dropped today, it would be on Netflix. 1 season would be immediately, and what we would do, binge watch it. Mm-hmm. And now we got to wait forever. But All right, I'm sorry. Y'all put an old man in this midst of this conversation about instant gratification, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
I guess I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm listening to Josh and his perspective. In terms of just the example you all use, which the barbershop. When I think about the barbershop, example as the barbershop, I do think of it as time management. While if I have a agenda, 2 or 3 hours of my time can't be spent sitting in the barbershop. So an appointment style is going to better serve me because it is going to allow me to structure and organize my day. Now, do I think that we can omit those in the right place at the right time moments that can happen or transpire in a salon or barbershop? No, because I think those things allow for processing. I think that's where relationships are built. I think that's where people get to actually learn people, and I think that's where socialization is developed, and that's really where lives can be changed. So I think both of those are equivalent. When I think of instant gratification, though, I'm thinking of this false reality that we portray into people. So it's the fact that where people think that now, like you said, now that, okay, I created this podcast today, I automatically have 1 million viewers. You know what I'm saying? So no work is
seeking ways to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And there's no truth in that accomplishment. So this overnight stardom. And I think when you do that, when you create this false narrative, you eliminate process. Right. And I think that people omit that nothing happens overnight. Like there's always sacrifice and time that has to be put in. And I think when we talk about instant gratification, we put ourselves in a race with time, but we forget that we can never beat time. Like you can never beat time. Time is inevitable. It was here before us and it will be here after us. And so I think when you talk about instant gratification, it's like, how do we beat time? Well, you can't. Like that's not reality, right? And if we look at instant gratification, oftentimes when people are gratified in that instance, that's where I think you get your one-hit wonders from. Mm-hmm. That's where you get your people who sound good for 1 or 2 conversations, and then that 3rd or 4th date, like what the, you know what I'm saying? That's where you get people in marriages that really should have just stayed friends. And I think that comes from this idea of instant gratification because we want to look like and we want to sound like and we want to be like without the actual processing that you were talking about, without the actual work and the commitment and the effort. And I think instant gratification allows us to not have to sacrifice and experience the pain, the growing pains of processing.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. I Go ahead.
Sometimes I regret not just enjoying the moment. Mm-hmm. Even to get where I am now, I regret not enjoying that moment because of wanting to hurry up, career-wise especially. Just, you get this job and you're looking for the next move. Then the next move comes and you're looking for the next company. The next company come and you're like, all right, now I got to get this. I got to get that. Which, goals are good. I'm not saying they're not good, but I learned a lot in that process. And I met a lot of great people, but just enjoying the moment. And I've had an HR person tell me that, and I remember thinking, he's just trying to get me to stay here. And just kind of being very dismissive to his statement, but it was so very true in that enjoy where you at right here, right now. That's a part of the process and, learning what you can when you can.
I think nothing right is wrong with gratification in itself or having pleasure right in itself. But I think that when you start to seek that instant gratification, I think you kind of set yourself up to not be as productive, depending on what your goals are. Now, you got to have a North Star, right? That's very important. And I say not as productive because it goes back to, for me, okay, what's most impactful, what's most efficient, and what's most effective as far as where I'm trying to go. So if I'm saying what I want is a strong relationship, right? Then certain things I might not need to be doing on the very front end, right? If I'm trying to build, certain things I might not need to be doing. I might not need to hop in bed with this person, right when I want to, right? That's instant gratification. It can be, right? I might need to delay a few things, and not just talking about just in relationships. I might need to delay a few things, right? But I think it all goes back to directed discipline, right? And really having a North Star as far as knowing where I'm trying to go, what I'm trying to get to. Otherwise, we'll fall victim to instant gratification a lot, right? If we don't have any sense of where I'm trying to go, right? We'll just get distracted, and we'll, because if you know where you're trying to go, then the things that you're doing is going to be based on that, and you're going to delay some things because it's worth it. But if you don't have any sense of where you're trying to go, you don't know what's worth it and what's not.
You said impact and something else.
Impact. What's impactful?
What's impactful?
What's effective and what's efficient?
Effective and efficient, which is great, right? But as I was hearing you say that, also there's that trial. And if you're only focused on that, not saying that you should not be, then where's the trial and error piece? We lose out on trial and error when we're aiming towards instant gratification, and we only going with what works, what has worked for umpteenth years.
Well, no, I'm not saying
or what I wasn't saying that you were saying that that part, but as I was listening to you, when people are going to that instant gratification, they'll look at somebody who posted a reel, or they'll listen to a podcast, or they'll listen to maybe even a mentor, so to speak. Okay. And they're going to only do those steps that person gave them instead of having their own trial and error for something in addition to what's been given to them, so that they can it feels as if so they can circumvent the system. So as part of a business, right, you're going to still have trial and error no matter what.
Yeah.
As a part of a relationship, you still gotta have trial and error. If I only did what my parents or those before me came and said, all right, you need to do this in order for you to have this strong bond with this person, then I would have missed out on some of the stuff that we came across, like watching the series The Wire. Like, we just came across it. It just happened. It wasn't like we was like, it wasn't like we said, hey, we're gonna spend X amount of minutes with each other every week at this same time. We didn't come up with that, but it helped. That trial and error helped develop a bond between us or whatever. So that trial and error piece, I feel, is missing when you only do instant gratification. And not when you only do it. Not to speak against instant gratification completely and totally. I'm not saying that, but only when we only focus on immediate results right here, right now, we miss out on the trial and error. I might have went around the world to give that, but that's what I was trying to.
Because I was gonna say you can if you, because I know you mentioned impactful. I was just gonna say if you know where you want to go, right, then you're thinking about what I'm doing isn't impactful. So when you're looking at something that somebody else did to get successful, you may pull that in. But if you have your goal where you're trying to get, you're gonna assess, okay, is this gonna fit where I'm trying to go? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because they got there, sure, but you may not get there the same way. You know what I'm saying? So, but as far as instant gratification and trial and error, oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, if you're gonna have to try and bump your head a little bit, right? Like, actually, you're gonna have to try and bump your head a little bit. I mean, that's just what's gonna happen, I feel.
And even when I say trial and error too, when we talking about just kind of circumventing the system, it's like I ask people all the time in session, what do you want to be when you grow up? Mm-hmm. And the responses are different, but sometimes people don't know. Well, why don't you know? You don't know because you haven't spent the time and energy to really divulge into various things. It's just immediate. Either I like it or I don't. It's almost like
try stuff. Okay.
yeah, like when I started playing basketball from small, I couldn't even hardly get the ball up to the goal. But it was a process of going back time and time again, finding a little different stuff that I was good at. I might not have been good at scoring at one time, but I could dribble, I can get past somebody, I can steal the ball, I can play defense, I can pick and roll. There was so many things that I can do, and the little nuances that I learn about the game that I end up liking about the game until I can do some of the greater things like scoring or dunking. Yes, D. I used to be able to dunk. I'm going on record.
For real?
Yeah. Now, I didn't never do it in the game, but more or less, yeah. And then it wasn't like it was going down every time that I went in. So if I tried 10 times, I might get it clean one time. Okay. Yeah. So that's my truth. I'm sticking to it. But when we lose that, whenever we're just looking for that immediate that immediate content, we lose the process of learning the little small things that makes you committed to it. What makes me commit to therapy? Like I can do therapy for the rest of my life. I can say I really found a career that I can do until I die. And it wasn't because I woke up at 23 and was like, okay, I'm a therapist. I went through the process of finishing undergrad, actually starting grad school and going through that. Went through the process of passing a test. Went through the process of learning various things as I was in private practice to get to the point where, like, I really, really enjoy this. And then, we said it in another episode when we talked about, they say, some people would say it's not money in it. Yeah, it is. In different ways. You just got to figure it out. But we don't get a chance to figure it out because we just so immediate.
We don't give ourselves time.
Yeah.
But I think that just goes back to what you said. I mean, of course, we as human beings, a lot of times we have to see it to believe it. Right? And instant gratification gives validation to I can see it, therefore I can believe it, right? I can see success, so therefore that makes me successful. And we can try to define a lifetime off of that one moment. And so the moment that moment stops happening, now I don't know what to do. And I think that's the danger of instant gratification, because instant gratification does omit the wait period. It omits the time of reflection, the time of analysis that is required to process, the time that it takes in to know that sometimes you got to lose something in order to gain, right? And so the future benefit of it is, while I look good in this moment, I don't know anything, right? You at 23, if you made a decision to become a therapist, you can identify yourself as a therapist, but until you put in the work to actually talk to people and learn how to build your skill set, you become a greater therapist, right? So it isn't that you weren't a therapist at 23, but now you're more skilled in what you do, and you know how to be comfortable in how you're serving. But I think the other danger of instant gratification is it creates this false narrative that the first time we do something, we're going to be great at it, right? And so I can't do any wrong. Like, I can't, you know what I'm saying? I'm the best, mistakes. Right? Yeah. And so therefore, when you come and you get introduced to somebody that's better than you, then instead of you seeing them as a potential mentor or someone that you can learn from, they become competition. And then what does that create? Ultimately, division, where we all know 2 is better than 1, and a lot of opportunities. You can go so much farther. And so that's what I think it's talking about in the definition, the future benefit, right? For this moment, you only wanted to shine, but when you have multiple people and everybody shining, you reach so much more people. You go so much farther. Yes. And that's what I think this idea of instant gratification for our culture has done. It has done for us is it's put us in this mindset is me. And it's not about us. You know what I'm saying? And us as a people. And so you reduce the success, because really the success of one is not the success of all, right? The success of all creates the success of one, us as, you know, and then it can just go in different aspects. And I think specifically in our culture, we attach to people who are in the process of instant gratification, like, oh,
people who are almost there.
Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that moment of it looked like it, you know what I'm saying? That's, if you look at it, that's what it is. You know, this person over here could be, you know, driving a Honda, you know, working 40 hours a week or whatever the case may be, you know, eliminating debt, going through the process. This person over here ain't had a job in 5 years, but they driving a BMW. You know what I'm saying?
They social media influencer.
Yeah, they social media influencers.
Creators.
They got a Benz. What in my life is what is sustainable, right?
Right.
This reality that they've created is not gonna last. Because how long are you gonna be an influencer? I look at what was influential to me when I was growing up is irrelevant today. You know what I'm saying? What was influential to my mother was irrelevant during my time. Some of it may be, you know, trending around, but the people themselves, we don't know. You know what I'm saying? I probably can name 5 artists from my mom's time. She wouldn't probably, God rest her soul, she probably wouldn't have been able to identify Nan. And that's just, I think that's what instant gratification does, is it creates this false narrative of winning season. And I think that's what it is. It's this ongoing winning season. And just in life, that's just not a reality.
We gotta be careful with success too, y'all. Like, for real.
Defining it.
Yeah. Well, just with success, like, as you're succeeding, right, you have to be careful with success, because people will start telling you how good you are. People start telling you how good you are. And, you know, that's setting you up for failure. If you're not careful, if you don't have that humility, and if you're not focus on just doing the work, right? On being impactful, things like that. If you don't have anything behind you, then, you know, you can get focused on that. You can start doing things to keep people saying good things about you, and that's the instant gratification right there, you know? So we have to be careful with it, and we have to be careful pumping people up. Putting people on a pedestal too, because you setting them up a lot of times. I'm gonna tell you something. So it was one point in my career, everybody was saying all these good stuff about me, y'all, and I had the president of a company I was working with, went out to lunch with him one time. He just told me some stuff I need to work on, and that was so good for me. I mean, at first he did the sandwich method. You know, he told me some good things, then he told me some stuff that I probably, you know, that he'd seen. And I was like, dang, you know what? That hadn't really hit me like that. And nobody else was telling me stuff like that. But this helped me grow. So all the other stuff they were telling me, it just built my ego. It built my ego, and believe it or not, it made me want to keep those people saying certain things. It can happen. It can happen to anybody. It's happened before. And but that was really impactful when he did that. And then he told me, work hard. And I took that like, dang, everything I did, I ain't did nothing. That's what I took. But I like that. I like that. And so I like that. That was a really impactful meeting for me. And I'm gonna tell you something. He was and this might not mean a whole lot to everybody watching, but it meant a lot to me. I had been managed a lot of times by I have been managed a lot. This might not mean a whole lot, but it means something to me. I have been managed by women a lot, right? And he was a black male. And I don't know what it was about that, but I felt like maybe that had something to do with it. I'm going to say they saw a lot of great things in me, and so they nurtured that. They nurtured that, but he kind of challenged that. So that was a different perspective there, right? That just meant a lot to me.
So with I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot here with workforce development and career development.
Yeah.
How do you see instant gratification playing? Maybe I should say specifically workforce, because we kind of talked about it from a career standpoint. But specifically with workforce development, how do you see instant gratification easing its way into the workforce field or businesses being developed and so on and so forth? Do you see that?
Let me ask you. So, as far as practitioners, people who are in the space, like doing the work, or the people who say we're guiding to their careers,
The people in the space doing the work.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I see? And ask it one more time.
Instant gratification. How do you see it affecting basically the employees of a company?
Okay, man, because if you're working with the individual, right? Let's just say you're doing a great job of putting people in a particular program, right? Let's say truck driver, but then you got all these other. Let's say it's a big need for nurses out here. Mm-hmm. It's a big need for warehouse workers, even because you got these warehouse companies, logistic companies, right? Mm-hmm. But you putting everybody in CDL because that's what's making you look good, because they're mean performance and everything. So in most cases, the state looks at performance of the local areas of the different counties. Look at the numbers, right? Yeah. And if it looks like, oh man, we've sent 10 people to training and 9 of them done completed and got a certification CDL, which is short term, that's 90%. This area is doing good. Good job, you over there. But guess what?
You over there.
You over there. But guess what?
You ain't changed
these
their
logistics
life.
companies might leave.
Right.
Might leave your area, and that's a big loss in jobs, right? You know, if you just focusing on, or these manufacturing companies might leave, you know. So if it's like a person can get caught up in just that success, and they can just lean on that to the point where they're not paying attention to other parts of the whole.
So
right?
and
I've seen that happen.
They keep it in that surface level. So they just get in the numbers.
They're keeping it where they looking good.
Yeah. They not thinking about building relationships. They not thinking about helping out this aspect of aspect of society, this company, or they just not thinking about all the stuff and how it works together. They just looking at the numbers and success for them.
It's not necessarily the numbers. They're looking at the gratification.
The trend.
The trend. Okay.
Well, it's because people who are above them are saying good job, because the numbers are making sense. So it's the good job that they looking at. Now, if the numbers were over here, they'd be over there. But it's the good job. It's somebody telling them good job. And they get hung up on that. Now, 6 months down the line, somebody might not be saying good job because they're saying, oh, you was doing great over there, but what about over here? Okay, yeah, I told you good job, but that didn't mean don't pay attention over here. You know? So, yeah, I see it definitely in workforce development. Man.
How can we overcome instant gratification? How can we overcome it?
Again, I say directed discipline, having a North Star, knowing where you're going. That's for me anyway. If I know where I'm going, then where I'm going is more important than getting this instant gratification, than being right at this time, than getting what I think I need at this time. If I know where I'm going, then I'm going to make a more sound decision. Maybe it's something I need to do right now, but if I know where I'm going, I'm going to make the best decision, I feel like. So it's having that direction, man, and that guidance.
What about you, D?
I think that you have to be able to embrace instant gratification because it is a part of the journey. You are never going to be able to dismiss people wanting to celebrate you. I think that's important. True. It can be validating. It can be encouraging. But I think you mentioned something earlier where you said define what successful is. And success isn't in the moment. It's the work that's built up to this moment. And so that's the part that we cannot omit. And I think that when you are wanting to look at instant gratification, when you're wanting to look at how does this benefit my life, don't forget that this is only the beginning of an end goal, right? Yeah. There's a difference between short-term, long-term goal. I think instant gratification is great for short-term goals, but short-term goals can't omit the long-term goals, right? Yes, you haven't arrived, right? And when you have a mindset that although I've gotten further than where I was, I still haven't arrived yet. I think that's what keeps us in a space where we don't allow ourselves to be overcome by instant gratification, because it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? It's just a part of it. You know, if I put up a picture today and get 200 and 400, 500 likes, that's instant gratification. Darn, that was a cute outfit, right? So I might wear that the next time I really want to look cute. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean I don't have to dress up and show up every other day, right? That one photo doesn't mean that now I look good in everything that I put on, or that people are gonna like everything that I wear. And so being able to recognize that, embrace it when it happens, but don't become defined by that moment.
Man, and I was gonna say, this is gonna sound churchy too. It's gonna sound churchy, but I always go to giving the glory to God. I always go to giving glory to God, because if he getting the glory, then I feel like what I did, it don't even matter. It don't even matter. So if I keep giving him the glory, then I'm gonna keep doing things for him to get the glory, not for me. You know, so that sometimes can keep me on track a little bit.
It just as I'm listening to y'all, I don't know why, but roller coasters came to my mind.
Okay.
And when I say roller coasters, I'm probably not gonna go where because you might think I'll go. I'm just thinking about standing in those lines.
Okay.
The reason I'm thinking about standing in those lines is because when we were coming up, there was no such thing as a pass where you can go at the front of the line. There was no apps to show you. There were no apps I was going to be there. There was no apps to even show you how to get there. You had to go to the map, to look at the map to see how to get to whatever roller coaster you wanted to go to. When you got there, it was always the same thing. Oh, man, look at this line. But you know what we did? Waited in line. What did we do while we was waiting in line? Talk with our friends. Guess what we also did? Made more friends, because somebody else is in there in that line with us. And then when we finally get to that roller coaster, we enjoy it for 3 minutes? we done waited an hour and a half, 2 hours for that 3 minutes. But you know what? When we come home at the end of the day, that was so fun because we waited an hour and a half, 2 hours. We rode maybe 5 rides, 6 rides. And we done had the best time in the world at Six Flags, at Carowinds. Spent all that time, but short amount of time of actual pleasure. But it was the journey. It was the wait. It was the friendships and the bonds that we built in the process of. Man, we are getting so much away from society, of the foundation. The foundation of life is connections.
And then you say enjoy the moment. One of y'all said
enjoy the moment.
Enjoy the moment. Even those way moments.
Yeah. Right? Building even those moments, building connections with each other and just having that foundation, and then going forward. Speaking to what you were saying about direction, when you're building that foundation, you still want to have a goal.
Right.
You got to have a goal, and you got to have a way to go. You know, again, if we using that Six Flags or Carowinds, we knew what rides we wanted to go to. We went there. We knew what we wanted to do once we got there. So you still got to have a goal, but the foundation is setting a goal, then creating a plan, working the plan, and then achieving the success.
I was going to say, and not only having a goal, but beginning with the end in mind too. Right? Beginning that goal with the end in mind. Yeah.
All right. So that's it. That's it for us.
Good episode. Yeah.
Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Speaking with Gravity. Hopefully you found this episode just as insightful as the other ones that we have. So be sure to subscribe and leave us a review, a comment, or something. Josh, how can they find you?
Yeah, find me on social media at Garvey 4Press. That's at GARVEY, the number 4 PRES, and on LinkedIn, Joshua Williams.
D, how can they find you?
D Carpenter on most social media platforms. Kodak Ready on Instagram and Snapchat, I think.
You know TikTok?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Kodak Ready?
Is it Kodak Ready? I don't know.
I think
maybe look you up.
if I'm not mistaken, everything you do is Kodak Ready for the most part.
Might be.
And then Kodak Ready is KODOK Ready.
REDY.
Yeah, if you don't know how to spell ready, You might. We need to do something else. But
Because it's not spelled right.
It's not spelled.
it's not spelled. See now
It's
look at me.
Reddy, right?
Redy.
Okay.
What I made Kodak ready when I crossed in undergrad.
She made it when she was still cool. See, she's not.
Oh,
You're a whole different person now. You're not even cool like that no more.
I ain't as cool as Kodak ready.
All right, so follow Kodak Reddick on all her social media. Kodak K-O-D-O
And on TikTok.
K-O-D-A-K Reddy R-E-D-Y. And then if you want to get in contact with me,
Kodak Reddy.
5E or Gravity Counseling Group. Y'all quit sidebarring. Why don't try to tell them how to get in contact with me? So disrespectful.
My bad.
So disrespectful. But Gravity Counsel Group, you can find me on Gravity Counsel Group or Speaking with Gravity. And then, of course, my name. I think I'm the only person in the world with my name. So you can just Google that in and it'll
I
come up.
almost want to get back to that too, though.
Yeah, just having your regular
Just have
name.
my name because in like the professional community, a lot of people know me as my name. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Think about it.
All right. So take care of your mental well-being. Continue to have these conversations that we've already had today. I appreciate everybody for tuning in and being with us. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate it. And remember, this isn't therapy. It's a podcast.